Hey, everybody, it's a beautiful Friday. A little rainy in Minnesota, but I know it's beautiful where you're watching from. It's beautiful. Why? Because you woke up today. Today was not promised. You know what else wasn't promised? The initials. I played the initials game today, people. I got 2, so I didn't get skunked. I'm good as to my total record. But I'm Ron Johnson. This is Locked On Sports Minnesota. This is the Friday Roundtable. For those who don't know, just Google the initials game. You'll figure it out. It's a big-time game up here in Minnesota. For those not from Minnesota, just Google it. You'll learn a lot about it. But again, I'm Ron Johnson. We got Reggie Wilson joining us from Care 11. We got Sam Ekstrom, the producer that does it all. And then we also have Julia Daniels from Care 11 that normally has a kitty cat running around. So at some point, I know it's going to show up. So don't be alarmed, people. Don't adjust your TV sets. Don't log out of the app because you're scared. It's just a cat. It's not somebody coming to steal your soul. But we have so many topics we can discuss. I know the Lynx are playing. They're in playoff contention. The Twins looks like they're trying to close the gap. You got the Gophers about to start soon. You got the Vikings about to make their roster. You got all kinds of crazy stuff going on. You also, and I got this one too, I'm going to throw a curveball. I don't know if anybody's seen it, but there were some recent ESPN analytics that talked about who is going to win the NFC North. By show of hands, and you have to be watching YouTube people to see the show of hands. By show of hands, who's seen the percentages? Because if you haven't, great, then I can surprise you with them. Nobody's seen the percentages, so we're going to talk about that coming up after we talk about this preseason game, and then we talk about the surprise roster cut. So we got some Detroit, Packers, Bears stuff to talk about, and who ESPN predicted to win the NFC North and what the percentages are. But it's time to get locked in on these topics, people. So what you got for us, Reggie?
Lynx, I said yesterday on Care 11, they look title contender good. We'll talk about their surge after the Olympic break and how far they can go.
And we are 4 days from Vikings Cutdown Day, 53-man roster taking shape. We will nominate our biggest possible surprise roster moves coming up on the 27th.
And, of course, we've got the last preseason game tomorrow in Philadelphia. Can the Vikings get it done? And our boldest predictions for that matchup.
And we have to talk about, roll the boat. I got the shirt on today, people. Go for football. Thursday, it's real. No Drake May, but the Powder Blues are coming to Minneapolis. We'll talk about all that and much more coming up next on the Friday Roundtable. But I want everybody to know today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. That's Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. I actually had somebody just tell me they did that because I said, hey, we're going to the Lynx game to see the Aces because, you got to see Kelsey Plum, got to see Asia Wilson. Marnie Gellner got mad at me this morning and said, what, you don't have a Lynx player that you want to see? Maybe, but I do like Kelsey Plum and Asia Wilson. And so another friend of mine was like, hey, what time are you guys leaving the house? I'm like, boom, boom. He's like, can you hook us up with tickets? I'm like, nope, but just check out the Game Time app. I'm pretty sure you can find some tickets to the Lynx Aces game. And I think they're going to text us, but I think they're going to use it. So they're going to get $20 off their first purchase. Make sure you guys do it. It's simple, it's easy, secure. You don't have to worry about anybody giving you a scalped ticket. Well, it's time to jump into the show. And we got to talk about this preseason game at Philly. Julia, big prediction. What you got?
Big prediction. Well, kickoff is at noon. If you miss it, Will Hall will have all the recap tomorrow night on Care 11. We do know Jaron is starting, and then Matt Corral is supposed to take over at some point. So it'll be interesting to see. My big prediction for tomorrow's game. I mean, it's always interesting in the last preseason game because there's so much on the line for so many guys that are out there. So it'll be, I would assume, 110% effort from a lot of the rookies or guys that just don't necessarily have a roster spot yet. But my big prediction, and last week I was on with my bold prediction. This week I am going based off of just what we have seen the past 2 games. I'm going to say another big game for Lewis Cine. I think it's been interesting to see. We were watching the game last week and we're sitting there. We're like, was that Lewis Cine again? Like, we haven't seen anything from him for so long. And now we're finally starting to hear his name a little bit more. I would predict, big game for him. I'm just so interested to see, just like from a fan of how the process works and things like that, just to see like what Matt Corral is able to do. I mean, that's got to be such a tough position to be in. You come in, you have a few days, and then it's like, okay, go get him, Tiger. You know, you don't really know what's going on. So I'm just interested to see how that plays out. I know he's kind of just a placeholder at the moment, but yeah, my bold prediction for Saturday is that Lewis Cine will have another big day. So we'll see.
Reggie, what you think? What you got for Saturday? Sorry, not Sunday. Saturday's game at Philly. Most of the starters, pretty much all the starters, are not playing. I think we might see a little Ed Ingram, but most of the starters are not playing. So what is your prediction for Saturday's game?
I'm with Julia. Unleash Big Lou. Unleash him. That was just an impressive. I was just like happy for him, you know, like he's kind of just like been buried the last couple seasons, you know, coming back from the leg injury, and you really haven't seen him do what it is that, you know, they drafted him to do. You know, Harrison Smith came back, and, you know, you thought that Lewis Cine would kind of be like the heir apparent back there, but he hasn't really shown much. But man, that preseason game, you saw a little bit of everything. You saw, you know, interception, big boom, laid the boom, sack. Like, you saw some of everything from Lewis Cine, and I think that's something that, you know, you would like to see from a former first-round pick. Maybe this is just a really late blossom for him, and, you know, he's kind of picking things up. You know, if we look at Brian Flores, like, he always finds a way to utilize guys. And after Cine's performance in the last preseason game, you think like, man, like, he could find somewhere somehow to utilize this guy if he's showing that he has the chops to make it work in the NFL. And so I'm more so just happy for him more than anything, just because like he's been buried and hasn't really shown much. You know, people start labeling you that B word, that bust word. And, you know, I love that he is going out there and competing and really trying to fight. So if he has another big game, I think that kind of makes things a little bit difficult for Kwesi and the gang on what to do with roster decisions.
All right. Ron's going to love this one. This is a guy that scored 53 touchdowns in the maroon and gold. He is now a Minnesota Viking. Yes, Mo is back. Mo Ibrahim, signed by the Vikings yesterday, presumably to chew up some snaps in this preseason game, but I think has a legitimate shot at a practice squad spot. And when you're on the practice squad, you're one step away from the active roster. Mo Ibrahim is going to score 2 touchdowns tomorrow. He's coming off a serious season-ending hip injury, I think after one preseason game with the Lions last year. This was a big-time undrafted free agent a year ago. We know he can run the ball. The Vikings bring him in, and, you know, with Myles Gaskin and Dwayne McBride being pretty underwhelming, it would not surprise me if Mo Ibrahim becomes sort of the preferred next option behind your top 3 with Jones, Chandler, and Nwangwu. And I believe Nwangwu's in his final year of his deal. So maybe Ibrahim could be vying for a running back 3 spot next year with the Vikings. That's my bold prediction. Ron, what do you think of our Gopher, Mo?
I like that. Rah, rah, rah for Sky Uma. Rah, rah, rah. I like it. I was going to go that route too, but I'm going to piggyback that. I think I said Mo 1 touchdown, and I think Matt Corral is going to throw a touchdown too. And so I'm going with the Matt Corral, comes in late, unnamed receiver probably. No, maybe Lucky Jackson, maybe Trent Sherfield Jr. stays in because he has to show if he deserves to be the 5th receiver, which, I mean, that's I think it's pretty much locked up with the 5 they have. So I got Matt Corral on the touchdown, and I got Mo Ibrahim on the touchdown as well. I also Chuck Filiaga he also is a former Gopher who the Vikings picked up, offensive lineman. So those two both are vying for practice squad spots, most likely. I mean, we know Ty Chandler, Aaron Jones, and Kene Nwangwu. Kene looks like a running back now, so Mo is definitely fighting for a practice squad spot. Mo did make the Lions roster and then got hurt, and so now that's the key. Just stay healthy. He's coming off a hip injury, and I think that's the Gophers can try to figure out. But I think a touchdown for Mo. And also, when you come in this late for the offensive lineman, it's easy to run the ball. For the running back, easy to just hand it off. Same with that quarterback, easy to hand it off. So, Sam, I like that prediction because if you got Mo in the game with Matt Corral, you're probably going to see a heavy dose of the run with a simple passing game, which is basically going to be run. All right, let's see if we can suck these safeties up, play action, throw it over the top to one of these receivers. Matt Corral, do you deserve to upseat Jaren Hall? I'm guessing 50-50 for those two because you have to do that. So, before we jump into a word from our sponsors, I gotta ask you guys this. Who do you think? So I got two questions. First, let me get my notes out. Who do you think the ESPN picked to win the NFC North? I'm gonna go with you first, Reggie.
Wait, say it again.
Who did ESPN pick? They have percentages too. Who did ESPN pick to win the NFC North? It's their analytics. They use their analytics crew for this one.
I'll go Lions.
Julia
Da Bears.
and Sam.
Bears. Now, let me just clarify. These are humans that are making their pick, or it's an analytics machine.
So that part I didn't know because we were playing the initials game. It came up above my head, and
Yeah.
it was Dan Orlovsky this morning with what's his name, Mike Tannenbaum, and that morning crew. And so they were talking about Caleb Williams, Jordan Love. They showed Jared Goff, and then they showed Sam Darnold. And then it just said ESPN Analytics has. I'm guessing Analytics is the computer. And so because it said ESPN Analytics at the bottom of their, it was the bottom third of their talker. And then they went through like kind of each team's chances and then the percentages that they have to win it.
Yeah. So if it's a computerized number, I would say Lions because I think they're the best team. I could see like a human being deciding, the Packers are going to make the upset, but no, I'm going to go Lions.
And then they said one team has a 13% chance to win. Go backwards. Sam, who do you think that is? A 13% chance to win the NFC North.
That tracks with like the FanDuel odds pretty closely for the Vikings. I think it's going to be Minnesota.
Julia.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Vikings as well.
Reggie.
Why not? Three's a crowd. Vikings.
You are all just like the initials game. Wrong. The Bears have a 13% chance. The Packers have a 31% chance. The Lions have a 52% chance. So if you do that math, there's only 4 left. They gave the Minnesota Vikings a 4% chance to win the NFC North by the ESPN Analytics.
That was tricky.
No faith.
4%. Yes. When I saw it, I was like, oh, I gotta write this down and bring this on the show. I was super surprised that it was that low. And that the Packers and the way the Lions, I mean, they say basically the Lions have a 50% chance. Packers have a third of a chance. And then they're putting the Lions and the Bears as like morsels, 13% and 4%. And so if we had a button bar, it would say, so you're saying there's a chance. There is a chance for 4%. Just quick twitch. What are your feelings about them giving the Vikings a 4% chance, Julia?
There's so much unknown with this Vikings team. They could be really good. They could be really terrible. They could be right down the middle. There's just, I could see it's the most unknown team in the NFC North. So it's not completely shocking to me that the numbers are so low.
Sam.
I still think they're a bit underrated. Their odds are not that far off from a team like the Panthers, who are to win the division, that is. And the Panthers are, totally bereft of talent. We don't know if they have a quarterback. Its odds are similar to the Titans and the Steelers. And I just think that the Vikings have a lot more robust of an infrastructure around their quarterback. I mean, it's all based on Darnold, right? If they had Cousins in there, they would be arguably favored or second. It's all about Darnold. So if they can squeeze anything out of him, and I don't know if they can, but if they do, then I think there's great value to be found on the Vikings with people overlooking them. And so we'll see if they can harness some of that bulletin board material, Rod. Can you like get a little thumbtack and punch those stats up in the locker room and get some people motivated?
I think I might tweet at the Vikings today. I might not their actual handle, but I might hashtag it and then just see if we can get some fans to jump on board for that. I might try to go back and rewatch. I'm gonna see if it's online and see if I can get the actual graphic. I took a picture, but then the picture is super horrible and it's a weird angle, so I didn't post it. But I took the picture because I'm like, I cannot believe it's 4%. I'm like, this is gonna get the people going. Reggie, 4% on target, or do you think they're right up on par with like the Bears? Do you think the Bears and them are even?
Dang, they could have at least gave him 5. Like, you know, like 5%. Just be nice, round it out. Like that's so rude. No, I kind of agree with Sam there, just because if the quarterback is stable enough, like if he's just like game manager enough, like I think they have a shot. And I also think that they have a chance to get stronger as the season goes along. As Sam gets a little bit more comfortable, you know, they get TJ Hawkinson back, and you know, the running back room kind of carries the offense. Like I can see some success. Like things get a little murky, you know, mid-season, you know, when they play the Jets, play Jacksonville, you know, start playing some of the divisional games, the Titans as well. Like I can see things getting a little interesting there, but oh ye of little faith, like 4% is really low. But you know, I think there's, as Julia says, so many unknowns that maybe you just kind of have to wait and see, and maybe the percentages will update after week 1.
And when we come back, we are going to talk about one roster cut, good or bad, that we expect Tuesday. Could be really, really good, or it could be a really, really bad one. They were like, I don't know why we cut that guy, or a guy that we think is going to make the team that's a surprise as well. Also, I got 2 initials answers today on the first clue. So I'm going to give that clue to the panel. I don't think they listened to the show. I would hope not. Nobody's cheated. And we can see if they can get what I got on the first clue. I'll even give them the second clue because I kind of got half of the second clue. And so we'll give them that as well and see if they can play the initials game quick with each other. The initials, I can't tell you. I don't want to give it away, but we'll do that as well after a word from our sponsors.
I can't wait. As Ron told you in the open, we're brought to you by Game Time, and they've got a really cool new feature that I'd like to tell you about right now. It's called Game Time Picks. Makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. So they filter out the fluff. They show you only incredible deals on great seats on their app, so you don't have to waste time sifting through all of the options. They make it super easy. With Priority Game Time Picks, the curation allows you to get into concerts, comedy, theater at incredible prices. Make sure you toggle on the all-in pricing so there's no hidden fees. Panoramic views from your seat before you buy. And with the lowest price guarantee, Game Time credits you 110% of the difference if you find better seats. Game Time also has a 50% off Labor Day offer for select baseball games in Major League Baseball. Take the guesswork out of buying concert tickets or sports tickets or comedy tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Ron Johnson is frozen.
I'm muted. That's what it was.
You're muted.
Sorry. I didn't want to do what I did last time during the commercial break. So again, surprise roster cuts. Sam, take it away.
All right. And Ron, you also are frozen, at least on my end. You might maybe pop out back and come back in, but I'll talk roster cuts and give you a minute to stall. The Vikings cut down the roster to 53 by Tuesday. So that's 38 players by my count that they have to shed by that time. There's a lot of work that they have to do. They'll probably do half of it Monday, half of it Tuesday. But what's going to surprise us? I will put forth the theory that Dalton Risner is in some trouble. Dalton Risner has barely played in this preseason. Ed Ingram has played a lot. And I think the question comes down to, are they happy with what they've seen from Ed Ingram, who I think in some ways is auditioning to keep his job. I think that Dalton Risner came in to challenge. Risner hasn't been able to do much. Ed Ingram has been in there in the preseason games, even when other starters weren't. I think he's been up, he's been down. I think there's been a lot of good stuff and a couple bad reps as well. But I think Dalton Risner could be a surprise, either a surprise cut or maybe with the waived injured designation that we've seen from a couple other guys. Michael Juergens has at least shown that he can play a couple interior spots if they need another guard/center. Dan Feeney's on the roster as well. Perhaps Dalton Risner would prefer to be on the open market and go land somewhere else where he can maybe start. But maybe it's not in Minnesota. I've always been very pro Risner. I think that he's been a good acquisition, but I think it's a possibility with him having not played, not really gotten a feel for the offense yet, that he could be the one surprise. Let's kick it over to Julia Daniels.
Forgot I was muted. I hate this part of the year. You know, you spend all training camp basically covering these guys. And then all of a sudden, 30 of them are gone, something like that. 16 spots on the practice squad, right? Or did
16.
I make that number up? Okay.
Nope, that's correct.
Okay. Man, my boldest prediction. You know, I'm gonna go with, I think Bo Richter's gonna make the practice squad. Just from what I've seen, I mean, people talk so highly of him. He's had a great preseason, but
what about the roster? Why not the roster? Why not the 53?
I just don't. I don't see him making the roster just because he's not as big as the other guys are, and you know he went to the Air Force Academy, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I just don't, I see him making the practice squad. I think a lot of people have kind of written him off, even though he's had a great. We've seen guys have great preseasons and then they get cut. But I would say he's at least going to make the practice squad. He is out there before he gets on the field before everybody else does every day for practice, and he is the last one to leave the field every single day. And I think the work has translated to the field this preseason. But I got high hopes for the guy. I would love to see him make the 53 man, but I don't see that happening immediately, at least. I think I would hope he's going to make the practice squad, but that's my bold prediction. I think he's a little bit smaller than some of the other guys in his position group, but sorry, my cat is digging in my plant over here, if that's what you hear. But yeah, my best prediction, I would hope to see him at least make the practice squad.
I think we got Ron back as well. Ron?
Yeah, for me, did Reggie go yet?
No, Reggie, you can go.
So I hate this. You know, as a person who was laid off from a job, I never like talking about job cuts. Just makes me But what I will say is I can see a guy like Malik Knowles sticking on the practice squad. And you guys kind of talked about it already too, but Mo Ibrahim as well. Like, that was a gnarly injury he had on that kickoff return last year. Just kind of a freak thing where he kind of fell on and dislocated the hip, and the Vikings gave him an opportunity. And, you know, with some of these gruesome injuries that Mo has had, like, to see him still pushing and still moving forward, like, that's pretty incredible. So I'm interested to see, you know, what he does in this preseason game and how he can try to, you know, make the squad in some kind of way. But yeah, I think those are two guys that I'm looking at as far as not necessarily making the 53, but the practice squad.
I don't know if it's a surprise, but I'm really high up now on Levi Drake Rodriguez. Like, I think he's a guy that won't get cut. Like, I feel like he's a guy that has a chance. I was going to go N'Keal Harry, but I got to see a lot out of him. Like, I didn't even want to pick him in my bold prediction for the game. Like, I just don't know if he's really figured out this tight end thing yet. But I think Levi Drake Rodriguez is probably going to make the team. which is going to make some tough decisions for them in that defensive line room. We know last year there were some issues, which is why one of the coaches, Coach Rump, who was on the Ron Johnson show, one of the reasons why he left was because he wasn't too happy with how they kept 6 safeties and I think like 3 defensive linemen. And he's like, how do I stop the run with this? Like, what do you want me to do with this? And then, so I think now they're figuring that out. Like, it might be less safeties, maybe 4 defensive linemen because your outside linebackers are your true DNs. But I think Drake Levi Rodriguez has really shown them that, like, if you cut me, somebody's going to pick me up. So I feel like he's going to make this team. The one thing about this, too, guys, when you think about the Minnesota Vikings making their team, it's always about who can show up on camera. And you guys all hit the nail on the head. Lewis Seen has flashed on camera. Levi Drake Rodriguez. The other one is what's his name? Number 98, Bo Richter. I think that's another surprise one for me. Like, I think Bo Richter could be a surprise where they feel like, you know what, he hasn't done a lot, but this guy, like, in the time he's been out there, he's looked way better than some of these other backups, Andre Carter and so on and so forth. So I think Bo Richter's another name to keep an eye on. But we got to jump over to the Gophers because started to row the boat. And the Gophers, we're next Friday, as Sam alluded to, we are going to be live. And we are going to be talking about the Gophers North Carolina game. I'm going to try to get some fan interviews. We're going to try this as long as the weather. Like, I was going to do this yesterday at the fair, but it rained. So I wasn't really trying to be in the rain doing interviews. So we'll see if it works this Thursday at the Gophers game because I will be out there and I'm going to try to get some feedback from fans about the Gophers, predictions maybe from them, and then maybe we'll run it on the show on Friday if we can do that. But when you think about what is going on with the rest of this team, what's going to happen, where they're going to be, here's the thing I want to think about. The Gophers are young. When you talk about some of the players that, and young and like not age, but young and not a lot of experience. North Carolina, on the other hand, if you look at their defense right now, they're projected starters, and we know there's a whole rumor about PJ's not released. Oh, not rumor, it's true. PJ's not releasing his depth chart, so North Carolina's not releasing their depth chart. There's one sophomore on their defense. The rest are all seniors, grad transfers, and redshirt juniors, which means these guys are old. They've been in college for a while. Some of them, I think, might be older than Julia. So when you look at this defense, and it's very old, it's very, like, and PJ Fleck talked about this yesterday in the PJ Fleck show. He said, when you deal with a group of guys this old, quote unquote, go for college. I mean, let's be real. In your 20s, you're young. But with that much experience, we have to be buttoned down. We have to do the right things. And so I think the Gophers are going to win. And the reason is because they can run the ball. Now, Darius Taylor, we don't know if he's going to play, and that's going to be the tough question. But we saw Jordan Newman go for some yards. We saw the kid out of Michigan State, Mangum. We saw the other kid out of Indiana. So they have some older transfers. So I think, yes, we're going to be talking about a win next Friday. I don't know, Sam, what do you think?
It's so hard to know what you're going to see in the first college football game of the year, because as you alluded to, Ron, the depth chart is a secret. The injuries are a bit of a secret. There's no preseason games that we can observe. So North Carolina is really going to be a bit of a mystery to me. They don't have Drake May. They brought in, and it's going to be a battle of the Maxes. Max Johnson on their side, Max Brosmer on the Gophers side. Max Johnson playing for his 3rd school. He's another grad transfer. This is the guy that replaced Joe Burrow at LSU. Then he went to Texas A&M, had one really big year back in 2021, but he's a mystery to me. Max Brosmer is a mystery to me because I don't know how he's going to adapt now to playing in the Big Ten. So the quarterbacks are both new, but I love the bones of this Gophers roster. Like, the offensive line is has so much continuity from last year. You've got a couple pro prospects there. Quinn Carroll is legit. Ariante Ursary is legit. Your receivers are back. Your running backs are back, and your linebackers are fantastic. Baranowski, Lindenberg. There's a lot of returning talent on this Gophers team for all the player movement that goes on in college football. The Gophers really kept a good chunk of their core together. I was surprised to look at the FanDuel win projections. Gophers are projected at, guess how many? We're doing a lot of guessing games today. Guess how many wins FanDuel has them at, Ron?
7.5. So
Julia?
I'm going to say 8
Okay.
or 7 or whatever. Yeah.
All right. So 7.5. Usually they go with halves. So we'll say 7.5 for Ron.
I'm going to go 7.5 as well.
Okay. Reg?
I'll go 6.
5.5
Oh wow.
is their projection, which
That's
seems
rude.
awfully low. I know they got to play USC, UCLA. Like the schedule is difficult, but man, that is a low level of respect. I think the Gophers could exceed that easily. If I were parlaying, 2 win totals, I might take Gophers and Vikings, a couple teams that are overlooked right now. I think it's going to be a good game.
That's
Again,
rude.
such a mystery with North Carolina, but I like their chances.
Yeah, that's rude. 5.5, man. I mean, I get it though. There's only 12 games, so I get what they're going with that. Like the over, most people are going to take the over because they think they're a bowl eligible team with 6 games. You got 3 preseason games that are very winnable. North Carolina is the question mark. You got Wisconsin, Iowa, so those are 2 tough ones as well. But the good thing about the Big Ten right now is like everybody, there's a lot of change. There's a lot of Friday night games now too with this whole new West Coast schedule. Whereas the Gophers actually, which I'm annoyed at this because I have to work, Black Friday. Why are we working on Black Friday? Like, why am I not able to just shop in peace at home and pull up by Amazon and whatever I gotta do? And like I gotta freaking worry about now a Friday game on Black Friday. But again, it's so much unknown in the Big Ten. So I think also you add UCLA and USC, but I think the odds makers are forgetting UCLA lost their quarterback, USC lost their quarterback, and the Pac-10 has not done well defending the run if you watch against some of these Big Ten teams they've played in the past. So I think Big Ten is going to run the ball down the West Coast's throat. Washington and Oregon, I'm going to take them out of that, but Washington did get their butts kicked by Michigan. So I get it. It is what it is. We have to move on because it's just crazy how they treat these people when you don't know. And again, you're right, Sam. You don't know who's playing. You don't know who's injured. By the way, Sam, I don't know if you knew this. Max Johnson is Brad Johnson, former Vikings quarterback's son.
Did not know that.
So he does have a
Wow.
Minnesota connection there as well. So I don't know if Brad's going to be in the building Thursday night, but he might be. That is his son. He is a Viking. So his son knows the Vikings. He's been around the Minnesota area. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he does. Because again, yeah, he's moved around a bunch. Funny story too, Mangum for the Gophers, Michigan State. I think this is his 4th school, the running back. Like he went to 3 other schools too. So this whole portal, man, like I'm not a super fan of it when I hear stuff like that. Guys going to 4 schools in 4 years or 4 schools in 5 years. Like pick a school, deal with the consequences. It is what it is. But now we got to move on. Coming up next, we are going to talk about this Lynx matchup. The Lynx play the Aces. I don't know if Darren Waller is going to be in the building, but if Darren Waller is in the building, I'm trying to be in that music video. I want to be an antagonist that is standing around talking to Kelsey Plum, and he's like in the background pissed off that somebody's talking to Kelsey Plum, and it's not him. Put me in the music video, man. I'll do it. But we got to move on. SiriusXM is a proud partner of Locked On Sports Minnesota. Make sure you guys download the SXM app. That's SXM on any app market, Android or iOS, whichever one you're using. Just search SXM in the app market. You'll see SiriusXM. Download it. It will log in and connect to your account. And then just search Locked On Sports Minnesota and subscribe. You'll get all of our shows, all of our content right there. And of course, if you want to watch us, always go on YouTube, Roku, or Amazon Fire as well. And you can download our app and you can catch all our shows. You can see Julia laugh every time somebody says something that makes her chuckle. Or you can see a cat just going across the screen. Or you might catch Reggie's wife just walking in the background, grabbing something and popping them in the back of the head. You never know what's going to happen on this show. Sam's dog might come running through. His kids might be on the couch. I mean, you just don't know, people. But again, we'll be back till we have to talk about this before we get out of here with the Lynx and the Aces after a short pause. So now we have to talk about the Aces. The Lynx is not the Aces show. I'm an Aces fan, as you can tell. Asia Wilson, Kelsey Plum, love them. Becky Hammond, I think she's a great coach. I love their content. They're the jokes they have in that locker room. I don't know if maybe the WNBA is throwing the Aces down our throat, but I see way more of their content than I do of the Lynx. Or maybe I don't know if that's my search history or something on Twitter. But Reggie, take it away.
Yeah, look, Ryan, you got to put a little respect on it right now, okay? Because the Lynx are the better squad at this point. If you look at the last 2 times that they've played the Aces, they've had their number, 186 final. The first time or the second game that they've played against the the Aces this year. And then the other night, wire to wire, basically a wire to wire win against the Aces. What's considered an off night from Asia Wilson. She only scored 15. Like that was like, oh man, what's going on with her? But she's averaging 27 points a game, which is insane. And so they get the Aces again, second time in 3 nights. So I think that's going to be interesting to see what adjustments have been made. What I thought was pretty cool is looking back, you got 5 gold medal players and the head coach of the U.S. women's basketball team all in this game. You got Asia, Kelsey, Chelsea, and Jackie. And then you got Fee on the other side. And Ron, look, I understand you're a big Aces fan, Asia, Kelsey, you mentioned them, but you got to put some respect on Big Fee, okay? You're talking about potential MVP of the WNBA right now. She's coming off a 23-point performance. Before that, her and Asia both had 30-point performances in the games prior to the last matchup on Wednesday night. Fee scored 30, Asia scored 34, both wins. The Lynx are 3-0 after the Olympic break, which, that first game back against the Mystics, it was like, okay, what's going on? I think they had to gel a little bit, kind of knock the rust off. They ended up whooping the Mystics the next night. And then we saw what they did against the Aces, 22-point, 10 assists, double-double from Courtney Williams, which was impressive. She is like the queen of the mid-range right now. She was knocking it down, playing with a lot of confidence. They traded for Maisha Hines-Allen. She got some points coming off the bench as well. Seems like a good pickup for them for their stretch run. So I mentioned yesterday the Lynx look title contender good, and they do. I think the Liberty, they look strong, probably going to be the favorites to win, and you can't count out the champs. The Aces are still the Aces, so you still have to be on high alert. But I think the brand of basketball that the Lynx play right now, just moving the ball around well, sharing the ball well, just playing cohesively as a unit, and Cheryl just pulling all the right strings as head coach. Like it looks good, and it doesn't hurt when you have your best player playing like your best player, looking like a potential MVP candidate of the league with Nafisa Collier.
You want to add? Oh, go ahead, Ron.
No, I was just saying, Reggie, you're right. I got to give you that. Like, I just like the Aces though. But again, that lead can go fast. Like it's not a big lead right now in the Aces. So this win though could help them push a 3-game gap. But if they happen to lose, they're getting one step closer. And like Common Man would say, things in your rearview mirror appear closer than they are. But yeah, no, both teams are good. That's why I'm excited about this one, because this is a good game. If there's any game to go to, I would have picked this one. Also, though, now they're not good, but another good one coming up back-to-back, the Fever, because they do get Caitlin Clark back-to-back. So they got
Fever are surging though.
Fever are, yeah.
And they got 2 good, like this is going to be a great game of like gameplay, scoring, guard play. So I can't go to both, but I am going to go to the Lynx Aces one. So I ended because my wife's birthday on Saturday. So Friday we're going to this game. A friend of ours has a suite, so we're going to go do that. And then Saturday we're just going to hang out. Of course, I got to work the freaking Vikings game, but don't have to do anything at night. And hopefully they just run the ball so the game's over by 2:30. Let's make this the quickest game in NFL history, people. But Lynx Aces, stick to that. Sam, what you got?
Yeah, I mean, I'm bringing it all back to FanDuel today, I guess. I'm looking at the championship odds, and the Lynx have not gotten the respect yet there either. Liberty are favored to win the title, plus 135. Vegas is right behind them, plus 190. Lynx considered like 4 times less likely to win the championship than the Aces. They're plus 700 after beating them handily. If they beat them again tonight, gotta imagine those odds take a pretty big tumble. So maybe get on that action now, because Courtney Williams, come on. I mean, what a game. 22, 10, and 7. if the Lynx can shoot 60% every single game, I would venture to say they win the championship. That's going to be tough to duplicate like they did the other night, scoring 98 points. But I love this team, and I think they've got arguably the best coach in the WNBA in Cheryl Reeves. So I'm really bullish on this Lynx team, and I'm thankful that we have Bally Sports back for us Comcast subscribers, so we can watch all the games. Had about a 2-month, 3-month blackout there where we couldn't keep track of the games. Now I'm dialed in.
Julia, what you think?
Never a doubt with Cheryl. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. Yeah, Courtney Williams, though, I just can't wait for her to get her flowers on like a national level, because she's been such a difference maker in this season for the Lynx. And I think that it's like people just don't talk about it enough, the difference that she makes. Everyone talks about the chemistry of this group too, but she has a huge hand in that. If you've ever talked to her or been around her or anything, she has one of the best personalities out of any of the athletes that we cover here in Minnesota. And I think that that's a huge, that combined with her skills, obviously, too. But I think that it's a huge contributor to the chemistry of the group, and people don't give her enough credit for that. The girls love her, and they always talk big game about her. But yeah, her mid-range shot, especially in that Wednesday night game, and they were doing like a melt at the end of the game of just her mid-range shots, and it was like, she makes it look so easy too. Also, this being her second year playing point guard, and that's it. People don't talk about that enough either. But yeah, I will say tonight's game, it's so hard to beat a team twice in a row, especially when it's the Aces. Thankfully, the Lynx are at home, but it's going to be a battle as expected. I wouldn't be surprised if they lost this game, especially with Asia Wilson not being happy with her performance on Wednesday night. I think that they have a lot to prepare for. I also think when you're coming off a loss and you're in the Aces position, you do have a little bit of an upper hand when it comes into going into a back-to-back opponent like this. But yeah, I think, like Sam said, if the Lynx win this game tonight, you have to put them on the map. You have to give them a little bit more credit, give them some better odds. But they are definitely title contenders in my eyes as well. Reggie was texting us on Wednesday night, and he was like, what did you say? The Lynx are the truth or something like that? And yeah, it was just, they didn't even keep us really on our toes on Wednesday. We thought it was going to be like this crazy game, but it ended up being all Lynx.
Well, the one thing I'm excited about to tonight's game, you look at offensive leaders, points. You got Asia Wilson, who's first. You got Nafisa Collier, fourth. So you got two of the top scorers in the same game. You look at Nafisa Collier, rebounds. She's fourth. Then you go down to assists. You don't have anybody in that one. You go to blocks. You got Asia Wilson first. You got Alana Smith third. You go down to three-pointers made. You got Kelsey Plum. You got Kayla McBride. And then, of course, steals. You got Asia Wilson. And then you got Nafisa Collier second. So it is going to be a game and a battle of some of the top players in the WNBA. It's going to be one worth watching. I'm glad we get to go to it. But before we get out of here, I want you guys to make one more quick prediction. So if you think about the Minnesota Vikings, so I'm going to give you a minute to think about this, but if you think about the Minnesota Vikings, oh, no, you know what? I got to do the fun thing first. But here's the prediction. We'll end it on the fun thing. But if you think about the Minnesota Vikings, here's the question to think about, but then we'll do the fun thing first. We'll end the show on some sports. With the Minnesota Vikings, pick a guy early on. So Giants, Daniel Jones sucks. I want you to pick a guy that you think in week one is going to be the star of that game. But before we get to that, so you got time to think about that one. So the initials today were RC, as in Ryan Clark. So the two I got, here's the clue. So for those who've heard the game, I don't know if Julie, you heard the game, but it starts off with clue, number one. It starts at the beginning of the day.
Wait, what were the two letters?
RC, as in Ryan Clark. RC.
And the clue is what?
It starts at the beginning of the day. I got it on the first clue.
Sam.
Anybody? What do you got?
Rooster Crow.
That's a good guess, though.
Anybody
else?
As well.
Anybody else?
Of the day.
5, 4, 3, 2, and roll. roll call.
Oh.
I got that one right. Everybody was like, what? How'd you get that? Okay, so here's the next one. All right. This was item number 7. Ready?
Yep.
Has something to do with an open flame.
It's still RC.
RC. The whole game is RC.
Sam,
What you
Roman
got?
candle.
Nope. So here was the next clue. I don't know if this will help because he was halfway through the next clue when I got it. Sold at a loss.
Sold at a loss?
Sold at a loss.
I don't even know what that means.
When they sell it, they don't make money. Sold at a loss.
Oh.
But you don't get the, I mean, that's the clue is sold at a loss. That's all he said. So I got it on this one. 5, 4, 3, 2. And I got it before that though, because I said so. What I did was, and this is probably what they're gonna put on the thing, because everybody's been tweeting it and it went viral on the whole K-Fan thing. When he said the first clue, I buzzed in, or in the middle of the second clue. And the middle of the second clue was sold at a loss, and I was like, oh, because I thought what I was thinking was wrong. The answer is at Costco. It's in the back of the store. Rotisserie chicken.
Oh.
Yeah. That's why the initials game is hard.
What was the first clue for it?
Open flame.
Involves a flame.
Yeah.
Involves an
How?
open flame. Yeah. I don't know why. Like
Those
so
are
the thing
dumb
about-
clues. Those
That's
how would you even understand? That's a dumb
because
clue.
a rotisserie chicken is cooked on an open flame
Yeah,
and
but
it's sold at a
what?
loss at Costco. Yep.
Sold at a loss for a
Yep.
rotisserie chicken. That was the best clue for that.
It's not about the best clue, it's about the clue.
And
So this is the thing about the initials game.
What?
If you play it, you got, and then maybe I'll reach out to Corey and see if he can do one with like all sportscasters or something. When you play it, it's not the clues you think. It's not so like the last one I got to get into this game. So the game I just played and got into the wild card. The very first clue was it's the initials were DP. It was fictitious. That was all he said. He said they're known as one group. I got it on that. I got it on the second clue. They're known as one group. Anybody? DP. Disney princesses.
Mm.
So yeah, so it's one of the things you got to have your mind open and just be able to get random stuff. But that was a little bit of fun of the initials game, people. For those that have not seen it or played it, I got cards, so maybe we'll play the initials one day. One of these Friday shows. I got the cards. I got some of the clues. Maybe we'll go through it quick and do like 3 of them and see who can get any of them. But before we get out of here, one quick bold prediction: Week 1, Giants. Julia, what's one pro player you think is going to shine in Week 1?
Guys, I think that Justin Jefferson guy's pretty good. I think he's probably going to have a pretty good game.
Reggie.
Sam Darnold is gonna outduel Daniel Jones. Book it.
I can see that.
Sam.
Levi Drake Rodriguez is going to get way
it.
more playing time than you think, and he's going to swallow up whoever the Giants running back is now. It's not Saquon, right? Who is it?
Nope. I have no idea.
I don't know.
It's the guy from he was with the Texans last year. And he used to play
Arian
for Buffalo.
Foster?
He played for Buffalo before that.
Zach Moss?
No, Zach Moss
Arian
is a Bengal.
Foster.
Oh.
I don't know who it is. I have to like. I haven't even done.
He's Devin Singletary. Devin Singletary.
Oh, Devin Singletary. Okay. Mine, I'm going with Jonathan Grenard. I think we're finally going to get to see a full go of this defense. Jonathan Grenard is going to get after the quarterback. Daniel Jones, we know, does not know how to read the defense well, according to the Jets, because it looks like the Jets absolutely destroyed them in their joint practices. And so it sounds like Daniel Jones, because Sauce Gardner was waving to Malik Neighbors as they left the field for their last practice. And the reporter said, "How do you feel about Sauce Gardner trolling you?" And he's like, "Hey, they got the best of us, so I got to, that if I won, I could do that to him." So that'll do it for us today. I'm Ron Johnson. That's Reggie Wilson, Sam Maxwell, Julia Daniels. And thank you guys for joining us on the Locked On Sports Friday Roundtable. Locked On Sports Minnesota Friday Roundtable. And I want you guys to have a great weekend. Enjoy some Vikings football. And if you're in Minnesota, go to the State Fair. Next week, we'll talk some State Fair stuff, talk about food we had out there that we enjoyed. Have a good one.